Everybody back at home? Back at home. Yeah, so before we start, make sure we have the correct motivation. Yeah. So we in verse on the number 28, but in the book 253, where it says, "On one atom I shall see." Right? No? Is it? Yeah. On one atom I shall see. So that verse and the next verse talks about seeing the Buddhas and the pure realms. Right? It talks about. We talked about the division of this text. You can divide according to what we said, Dzogmin Jiangsung means to perfect the aspirations or complete the aspirations, right? That's the one. Then the second one is to mature the minds of sentient beings, right? And there's a few verses like that. And the third one is, like these two verses, for example, relate to the third one of purifying realms or producing kasa, pure realms, right? Yeah. So there it says, "On one atom I shall see Buddha fields, numbers as atoms." So yeah, if you read about the Pure Lands, then this makes more sense. You know, I was never in the Pure Lands, and then Lama Zopa Rinpoche asked me to translate this text by Lama Tsongkhapa. Lama Tsongkhapa wrote it very nice, very short. Basically, is a commentary on the Pure Land of Sukhavati, right? Amitabha, Pure Land, you know. So yeah, if you're interested, we can share. It's also, I don't know if you still can find FBMT, but this is a very brief commentary. Just what is it, 15, 20 pages or something? And it's very nice. If you read, you see actually how it is in the Pure Lands. It's very nice, with trees and ponds and very beautiful. And then all the sound of the Dharma, you know, and the leaves fall and then the winds take it away again, so there's never really dirt to be found anywhere, you know, it's kind of quite nice. Yeah, so maybe we can share that with the people or something, if that's not too difficult. No? That's very nice. And that also has the prayer, right? We did that last year, I think, or year before. Being born in Sukhavati, you know. Yeah. For those who don't have yet. Then those who have already, they know what I'm talking about. Yeah. So, one atom. So you try to see, because the Buddhas are everywhere, you know. Buddhas are really called non-local, yeah, because the Buddha's mind is everywhere, and wherever the Buddha's mind is, there is also the Buddha, the bodies of a Buddha, because they're in the same nature, right? Yeah. So the Pure Lands is not up there. You can go to with a rocket or something like that. The Pure Lands are just. There's no location for Pure Lands, right? Is Semgi Tendu, we say, is in the mind, you know? Like His Holiness Dalai Lama is basically in the Pure Lands, but at the same time having this physical body, so His Holiness can communicate with us, right? So it's the same as being in the Pure Lands, you know? So you don't, if you accomplish the Pure Lands within, you don't have to go externally, right? That's in certain practices. Then you can go to an external Pure Land, but the meaning is to establish the inner Pure Land. You know, in Vajrayogini, for example, it's very clear. Yeah, that the inner Pure Land is much more important, right? Yeah. One atom, one shall see Buddha fields, numbers of atoms, inconceivable Buddhas among Bodhisattvas in every field. Yeah, so you see vast aspects. So yeah, this is sutra-based, but it's very similar to the Vajrayana when you visualize everything in the nature of the mandala and nature of deities and the pure vision, right? The pure appearance, so to say, to stop ordinary appearance and have pure appearance. So here in the sutra we have very similar things, you see. Yeah. Practicing the activities of awakening. But also if you read Lama Tsongkhapa's Kasa, pray to be born in Sukhavati, then it says, once I'm born there, you know, may I go to impure lands with magical emanations, right? Yeah, so that's kind of very important, right? That's the reason why we want to be in Pure Land. Some lamas are not really interested in Pure Lands because they're more interested in getting enlightened as quickly as possible with the High Showa Tantra and work for the benefit of beings, right? So that's the reason why you want to be born in Pure Lands. But there's the guarantee is there. If you're born in a Pure Land, enlightenment is guaranteed. Well, it takes longer than if you're born as human and you use the High Showa Tantra. It's a bit more risky, but yeah, you can take risks, and it's quicker, you know, to at the moment. For a few lifetimes, I think we're still okay, probably. Yeah. So then, yeah, that's related with the Pure Lands. Then 29, the next verse, it says, perceiving this in all directions, I dive in ocean of Buddha fields. Yeah. Each ocean of the 3 times Buddhas in the space of a wisp of a hair, or tiny place. So yeah, I will practice for an ocean of eons. How does it go again? Ooh. There was a way to do that, but now I mixed it all up. Ooh. What's the page number again? 2 something. 253. Oh yeah. Oh, I thought I lost it. I was so stressed. I got really stressed because there's a way to do like this, and then it goes to the where I put the other thing. But I don't do. I just do like that. Then. Yeah. So the next verse. There it says, dive into an ocean of Buddha fields, right? So, an ocean of Buddha fields, if you reach the first bhumi, you know, the first bodhisattva bhumi, then you perceive 100 Buddhas, receive the blessings of 100 Buddhas, go to 100 Pure Lands, you know, eliminate 100 Buddha lands, and shake 100 world systems, and live for 100 eons, and see past and future 100 eons, and you know, there's a kind of 12 qualities you get on the first bhumi, you know. And then on the second bhumi, it becomes like 1,000, and then third is like 100,000, so it multiplies, right? So then you see on each bhumi, it increases, you know. Then you can, what it says, dive into an ocean of Buddha fields. And you can imagine, the further you get on the bhumis, the more Buddha fields you can visit, you know. And then as a Buddha, you establish your own Buddha field, right, or your own Pure Land. Okay, so the next verse is then talking to, after we born there, then also to listen to the teachings, yeah, because until, generally speaking, until and including the 6th bhumi, you have to depend on the teaching of the Buddha, right, yeah, to get the realizations. Once you're on the 7th bhumi, then you have this capacity to get realizations that are needed without the teaching on the Buddha. Yeah. So yeah, until then you have to listen to the speech of the Buddha. So that's what it says in the next verse. Thus I'm continually immersed in the speech of the Buddhas, expressions that reveal an ocean of qualities in one world. The complete pure eloquence of all the Buddhas, communicating suited. Yeah. So then one of the aspects of the words of the Buddha is we know that the Buddha says something, and then everybody hears and understands what's needed for them. Yeah. So that's a very, very helpful tool. Because I already said before, when we give talks, then okay, what is the audience? All right, I shouldn't make it too complicated, I shouldn't make it too easy. I have to find the right balance. You know, we constantly think like that. But as a Buddha, you don't do that, you just speak like that. You saw he was just very spontaneous. And just that you see, that's a spontaneous, all-knowing mind of a Buddha, for example. Rinpoche was invited to give the 8 verses of mind training, and we had once in the monastery 2,000-3,000 monks, and there was one of the first times Lama Zopa Rinpoche taught in the monastery, and Rinpoche was teaching something completely different, and then the monks some thought, what is this? And it goes on for a long time. But some got very inspired, you know, it's very interesting to see. And then the last minute, Rinpoche changed his mind again. And same when we organized the High River transmissions, we prepared everything. And then Rinpoche called me over the night before and said, Namdak, I'm actually planning to do Lojong tomorrow. He said, okay. I said, of course, Rinpoche, whatever Rinpoche thinks beneficial, but, some people might expect the transmissions. But then Rinpoche just, didn't think about it, I just taught mind training. So there was a lot of Geshes and Lamas who came especially for the transmission of Hayagriva, and then they got something completely different. Yeah. So then Rinpoche just checks what's most beneficial at that time. Yeah. Doesn't check, just knows, right? That's the omniscient mind of a Buddha, Yeah. So then we try to pray to hear also all those levels, right, in order to progress quicker by depending on the speech of the Buddha. Yeah, then next verse, hearing the turning of the wheel of the Dharma, with strength of understanding I plunge into an infinite enlightened speech of the Dharma. Yeah, so enlightened speech, infinite means until, it says in commentary, space is emptied, but it refers to the end of samsara, right? Yeah. And then not just hear everything of one Buddha, like in the previous verse, is referring to the Buddha's speech in general. Yeah, here this verse is referring to all the Buddhas, of all the Buddhas, past, present, and future, and maybe not then. Yeah, time is relative, but their time goes forward, right? Time passes, goes forward. Infinite enlightened speech of the Dharma of all Buddhas in 3 times gone to freedom, who continue to turn the wheel of Dharma methods. Yeah, so to receive the teachings from all Buddhas simultaneously. If you want to go fast, then if you have more bodies, then you can do more, right? Yeah, so for us it sounds very crazy. Then we think, what? 1 body, then 2? I mean, if there's sometimes in certain traditions, in Nyingma, for example, you see, for example, sometimes the body, speech, and mind emanations, or you see the body, speech, and mind emanations, they be born together in one, right? So we find it very difficult to comprehend because our mind is so limited, But yeah, if you get 100 emanations, then 3 is nothing, right? Yes, it's true. So later, when you do Vajrayana, then it's very clearly explained there how you can generate these kind of emanation bodies, right? Or in the dream bodies, things like that. So then these things start to make more sense. Yeah, that from one, continuity of consciousness and subtle winds, you can generate different dream bodies, for example, or something like that. Yeah, so there's many stories of certain lamas. They put one dream body to meditate, one dream body to memorize, one dream body to read, one dream body to teach non-humans or something like that. So eventually that's possible, right? And then these things makes more sense to hear, the different teachings of the different Buddhas in different realms at the same time. Yeah, for us, one teaching is sometimes already difficult. So can you imagine you sit in between 2 teachers with loudspeakers to you, with 2 different, completely different texts, or the same text with different explanations, and you grasp both at the same time. That's probably not easy, right? But once you develop, then you can do that. We can look at 2 phones at the same time sometimes. Oh, yeah. But this is a little bit more sophisticated, that you can listen, but you also absorb, right? Yeah. Yeah, so that's a bit far away, but you can see it's possible, eventually. Yeah. Because once you develop clairvoyance and things like that, you just know, right? So, yeah. And that's kind of aspects. Okay, the next one, entering into all eons. I shall experience in one moment such vast activity of all future eons. And I will enter into all eons of the 3 times in a fraction of a second. Yeah. So time and space is very relative, And Jessamila Ripa, he showed that aspect, right? He went into the horn of a yak. Yeah, without making his body smaller or making the horn bigger. You think, how does that work? Yeah, so yeah, if you're at that level, you can do that. There's a very interesting story about, then you see that how the masters of the past were and where we are now. That when Padamba Sangye came to Tibet, and wanted to check out Milarepa. They more or less at the same time. And then Milarepa was hidden on the side in the form of a few sticks, hidden, you know. And then Padmasambhava said, "Oh, show your real aspect. You know, I want to know more things about you." And then Milarepa didn't say anything, and then he kicked all the sticks and said, "Please show." And then Milarepa appeared. And then they checked. They said, Padmasambhava said, "Oh, let's check our realizations if they're equal, or you know." And then they were sitting on grass without bending it. Yeah. So if you have some high levels of completion state, you can do that, right? You can have control over the elements, so you can just sit on grass without, you know, if you grass this high, you sit on top without bending it, you know. But I don't know if Milarepa or Padmasambhava, the grass is slightly like that. Yeah. But then Padmasambhava said, in India, there's almost nobody anymore like this, you know. So very rare, those kind of high-level realizations. Yeah. But then you can see that Milarepa could, if you're at that level, you could, you know, what he went into a horn of a yak, right? You know the story. And then he asked Kompopa to come, but Kompopa couldn't do it, you know. Yeah. So yeah, then if you're that highly realized, then probably at one point of time you have control of the elements, so you can do things, you know. Jan Westerhoff, in his introduction to Janakirti, this guidebook from Oxford University Press, I thought it was quite interesting. He thought about the story of milking the cow from a drawing, right? That's in the story of Janakirti, you know. And then he said that, yeah, once you have that kind of realizations, then probably you can do things, right? Same I mentioned Mahaboa, you know, this morning, this inspiring video of this monk from the Thai forest tradition who got all this kind of realization, insight, and strong compassion. He also said that it looked like the whole world was upside down, you know. Once your mind goes into very high levels of absorptions and you have an understanding or realization of reality or emptiness, then of course things will be completely different than our perception, right? Yeah. So then you can do these things. Yeah. And time is relative, right? Yeah. And we know that Maitreya went to the Pure Lands for, what is it, a morning and 50 years passed, right? Or Kasa Asanga, you know. Yeah, so time is very relative. So I shall experience in one moment such vast activities of future eons, and will enter into an ocean of 3 times, but in a fraction of a second. Yeah, so because if you develop your mind, you can do much more at a short period of time. Yeah, for example, if you reach that also will come up in next week or the week after in the Chandakirti text, the Rizung, right, same thing. On the 7th ground, we said one quality is you can realize things without depending on the words of the sutra or the science of the sutra, literally. But another aspect is that your mind is so fast. You take this, which is kind of a second, or maybe less than a second, and you subdivide it into 64. So then you come to, I don't know, what is it? A few milliseconds, probably, right? So at that time, this divided into 64 is a very short period of time. Then this meditator on the 7th ground can enter and arise from deep absorption into emptiness. You know, it's kind of quite an accomplishment. For us, it's just, oh, I'm breathing, okay, get the mind a bit calm, okay, you know, now we meditate, and then 1 second later, your mind is somewhere else. Yeah, but that doesn't matter. If we keep going, then eventually, that's so inspiring. You can develop a mind that can do that, right? Yeah, so that's very inspiring. And then we make prayers, not think, oh yeah, so difficult, so far away, and things like that. Don't do that, you know, just say, wow, that's possible. I want to get there. I make prayer, you know. Then at least you create a cause to get there, rather than saying, oh, it's difficult, you know. No. Fraction of a second. Then next verse, it says, seeing all the Buddhas in one instant. In one instant I see, so same thing, that in one particular moment of time to meet all the Buddhas, right? Yeah. Then you constantly have Buddhas around you, you know. Yeah. And with the power of illusion-like stabilization, I will constantly engage in inconceivable activity. Yeah, like Samantabhadra did with offerings. Because if you see all those Buddhas and you're not a Buddha yet, you may count as offerings, right? If you read the previous lifetimes of the Buddha, or you read the sutras like the Golden Light Sutra, for example, very clear that the Buddha explains sometimes over many lifetimes how much offerings he made to all these Buddhas he saw, right? So it's just very important to create merit to move forward, you know. Accomplish and entering the Pure Lands. So yeah, this is also to establish the Pure Lands, right? In a single particle. It says, I shall manifest upon one single atom the ray of Pure Lands, present, past, and future, like I shall enter a ray of pure Buddha fields in every direction without exception. Yeah, because if you establish Pure Lands everywhere, then you can create causes for beings to be born there, and then enlightenment is guaranteed, because there's no suffering in the Pure Lands, right? There's no afflictions in the Pure Lands. So that's a bonus, you know. But to get there, if you really think, you know, there's a lot of debate how to get born in the Pure Lands, you know. The most easiest one to get in is Sukhavati, right? Pure Land of Amitabha. So of course you need, I think at least probably, it's not very clear in the text, but bodhicitta, or at least a kind of, what is it, contrived form of bodhicitta, close to getting a realization of bodhicitta. Otherwise it will be difficult, right? Yeah. Or similar to renunciation, right? You have to have quite some stable mind in either renunciation or in particular bodhicitta, you know. And then on top of that you have to make prayers to be born there and accumulate merit for that purpose and purify your negative karma for that purpose, you know. And even though that's the main thing, but yeah, maybe that's the main course mentioned in Lama Tsongkhapa's commentary, you know, on what I just mentioned. Yeah, so then next verse it says, I shall enter in the very presence of all my guides, the Buddhas, those lights of the worlds we are to appear, those sequences turning the wheel of complete awakening, those reveal nirvana, final perfect peace. Yeah, so then it's referring to non-abiding nirvana, right? That the abiding nirvana is for liberation for yourself, but here it refers to non-abiding nirvana, like the Buddhas. They are liberated, but they come back to work for the benefit of beings, right? So we call it non-abiding nirvana. Yeah. Then there's a few verses regarding the 10 powers. Yeah, so sometimes some commentaries say 9 powers, and 1 power is indirectly indicated kind of aspect. So, but yeah, there's kind of here you can count the different powers. The first power, because this power is to benefit beings, right? The first power is swift emanations, because if you have magical emanations, that's what it happens when you go to the Pure Lands also, you emanate bodies to impure lands to benefit beings, right? Yeah. So, or different world systems or planets. Yeah. Yeah. So we think that we only think about planet Earth, but there's so many other planets with life. They're very far away, but there's not, you know, these emanation bodies, they are going at the speed of thought, not the speed of light. Yeah, the speed of light is not the fastest speed. That's already very clearly proved in science, right? Einstein's theory that nothing goes faster than the speed of light is already contradicted. That's not possible, because information carries in the entanglement experiment. Information goes much faster than the speed of light. Yeah. So same as our thought. Thoughts in the Bardo being goes according to the speed of light. You know. So here also going to other planets, Buddha realms, magical emanations is very swift according to your intention, right? Yeah. The Buddhas lead to the great vehicle. So if you can imagine the Bardo, you know, that is karmically, you go according to the speed of your thought. So that proves there is a possibility of the mind and its subtle energy to go through walls, to go according to your speed of light, even just in the sutra system, right? the Bardo beings. So then if you have sophisticated Vajrayana systems and you transform that whole process, then you can imagine you really capable of visiting different places, you know, yeah. According to your thought. Yeah. The power to lead to the great vehicle through every approach. Yeah, so from different angles and different practices of the Bodhisattvayana. And then always beneficial activity. And once you have bodhicitta, then you enter the paths, and then whatever you do becomes a cause for enlightenment, right? Because the bodhicitta is manifest or it is dormant. Yeah, when you have a direct perception of emptiness, it is kind of dormant, but bodhicitta is always there. Yeah. The power of love pervading all realms, yeah, working for the benefit of establishing happiness for all sentient beings. The power of surpassing positive potential, yeah, make positive potentials in your mind and the potential in the beings, surpassing or complete or perfect. There's a power of supreme knowledge, unobstructed by discrimination, right? To eliminate all kind of the main obstacles are afflictions, their seeds and their imprints, right? Yeah, of oneself and of sentient beings. To the power of wisdom, skillful means, that's power of wisdom 1, skillful means 1, samadhi 1, and then the power of awakening 1. So then you have 10 powers in those 2 verses. Yeah. Then it says aspiration to the antidotes that pacify the obscurations. Yeah. To purify the power of contaminated actions. Yeah. We say, what does it mean? Contaminated. We say in Tibetan, sakpada cheba, means having contamination or possessing contamination. Yeah. So that refers to having karma and afflictions. Yeah. Yeah. So that you try to purify, try to eliminate. Crushing the power of disturbing emotions at their root. Yeah, that meaning ignorance. Yeah, so karma and afflictions in general, we try to eliminate, and then in particular ignorance, we have to eliminate with the direct perception of emptiness, right? Then diffusing the power of interfering forces. So it says in Tibetan, it says du mara. You know, so we already talked about different maras. Last time in the Kaza, in Kopan, when we did a Kopan course at Rinpoche. Then I was walking with Rinpoche back to house, and then there was one lady from the US, a very strong American accent. And then she had to do a project, but she was very slow with something, and so she said sorry to Rinpoche. And then and Rinpoche said, "Oh, you got distracted by the dushi." He said, so dushi means the 4 maras, right? But Rinpoche didn't explain the meaning of dushi. And she said, dushi? She said, dushi? And then Rinpoche said, "Oh, you can ask Trump. He give an answer to every question." That's very funny. Yeah. Yeah. So dushi means the 4 maras, right? Yeah. So Rinpoche has a very good sense of humor. Yeah. So, So what are the 4 maras, right? The mara of the contaminated aggregates, as we talked about, right? Contaminated body, contaminated mind, that's one. Then the mara of the afflictions, root, secondary, and then, of course, all rooted in ignorance. Then the mara of contaminated debt, because that can be an obstacle if you have a short life. That's why in this prayer, and also in the prayer to be born in Sukhavati, you have a pray to Amitayus, and then you also say, in this and our future lifetime, may I always be free of life obstacles, and be like Amitayus, be like Amitayus, to be free of life obstacles, because it's important, if you want to have a long life when you're doing things well, then it's good, right? If you have a long life when you don't do things well, then maybe it's better to have a short life. Yeah. So, yeah. So that's one. That's number, 3, right? And then the 4th one, sometimes we translate as Kasa, the son of the gods, or kind of referring to craving for pleasure or a strong desire for pleasure. But it can also be to external forces, according to certain commentaries. There are spirits who can obstruct. But if you don't believe in that, and you just have bodhicitta and you keep your vows, then they cannot really obstruct, even if they exist, Yeah, so that's kind of important. Not to have too much namdak. is in Tibetan. Superstition. You know, in Tibetan there's a lot of superstition. Even His Holiness comments on that. Once His Holiness was teaching, and there was the worst day of the year. I think there's 9 bad omens or 10 bad omens. 10 is it? Or 9? 9? Yeah, 9 bad omens. So they say, oh, maybe we start the next day. His Holiness said, Namdak. we start in a day, no problem. Yeah. But yeah, that's true. And Lama Zopa Rinpoche put a lot of emphasis on auspicious days, and of course, nothing is beyond dependent origination, right? So that's good to do things on auspicious days, but don't get too much superstition, because there's many people. Yeah, when I was back in the monastery 2 years ago, I went to some teaching again. Thupte Rinchen, who was the teacher of Geshe Tenzin Namdak also. Again, Thupte Rinchen Sarme gave a set of teachings in like 2 years ago. And then I was sitting to one Lagen, one old monk from Zerme. And we know each other because I know him because he was the Changse, the head of administration in the Lache. And then we talk, and that's what we do, you know. In the breaks we just chat and you know, kind of talk about all kind of nonsense. But then he said one of time he said, I was really into astrology. He said, really interesting. I was really into it. But then I got so much Namdak, so I gave it up. Because he got too superstition, you know. Kind of, oh this, oh that, oh I can't go out now. Then you have to. Then it has opposite effect, right? Yeah. But yeah, certain things it's good to do things on auspicious days, and because everything is an age of dependent origination, right? Diffusing the power of interfering forces. I shall perfect the power of bodhisattva practice. Yeah. Then there's 2 verses referring to enlightened activities, where it says, "May I purify an ocean of worlds," yeah, to transform them. We're still in the process of transforming things into the Pure Lands, you know. May I purify an ocean of worlds, transform it into Pure Lands, you know. And by that, may I transform beings as well. Yeah, so it's very similar to the Vajrayana. You do the exactly same thing in the Vajrayana, right? You send out lights and you purify all beings and you establish them in enlightenment. And so in the Sutrayana, you have very similar things, you know, take the result into the path, more or less, you know. Although you don't visualize yourself as a Buddha and mandalas, but you visualize everything as Pure Lands. And then you create the causes to be born in Pure Lands, you accumulate merit, you create causes to be meet Buddhas, you know. May I free an ocean of beings. May I clearly see an ocean of Dharma. So teachings and achievements of the Dharma, you know. Yeah. Ocean of Dharma meaning, as we said, ocean of Dharma is normally twofold, right? We have the scriptural teachings and the realizations. Yeah, we talked about this morning. Yeah, so that's two aspects. May I realize an ocean of pristine wisdom. Yeah, so that pristine wisdom, or sometimes we translate as exalted wisdom, right? That is from the first bhumi onwards. You know that from the first bhumi onwards, then you have a direct perception of emptiness, right? So there's exalted wisdom. Yeah. May I purify an ocean of activities. Yeah. So ocean of activities talks about the 6 perfections or the 10 perfections of the 10 bhumis, for example, right? That that's what it is. You make prayers to get on the path, to get bodhicitta, to get direct perception of emptiness, to progress on the 10 bhumis, all the way up to enlightenment, and then establish these Pure Lands, right? That's the prayer, you know. And then, because every bhumi, it increases, right? The amount of Pure Lands you can visit, the amount of Buddhas you can meet, and yeah. May I make, you know, and then when you see them, you also make offerings. Because if you just see them, it's good imprints, but if you make offerings with the 7-limb prayer, as we just read, yeah, then you not only see them, but you also create causes to meet them again and again, and you know, you accumulate merit for enlightenment. I'm lost somewhere, not in the Pure Lands, but in the text. May I fulfill an ocean of aspirations, right? Yeah. May I fulfill an ocean of aspirations. Yeah. So you see, may I make offerings to an ocean of Buddhas. May I practice without comment for an ocean of eons. So that's what you have to have. You have to have this determination. Because we think, oh, I'm not changing in a few years' time or something like that. But here you have to think that you go for eons, right? His Holiness often says it's good to be inspired by the Vajrayana and being quicker if you have a special compassion that cannot wait. And why can it not wait? Because you really feel the suffering of others and you can't stop. You feel very uncomfortable and you want to go quick, right? But that doesn't mean that you should not have the determination, whatever it takes, however difficult it is, I'm going to do it. That's His Holiness makes always so clear, that we should have this incredible determination, even if it's going to take eons. So what? You know, once you have bodhicitta, then you're there, you're on the path, right? So once you're on the path, then even if it takes eons, you're on the way to benefit beings, right? So then, if you have that kind of vision, then one lifetime, all the little gobbledygook different difficulties we have is just nothing, you know. So then the more you understand the vast vision, the more effort you have in this life, you know, even when things are difficult sometimes. Yeah, it's just one lifetime, but you just progress and move forward, you know. So that vast vision is very important, and have the determination to do it, right? Yeah. Then next verse it says to emulate the Buddhas, to awaken fully through this bodhisattva way. Yeah, so follow the footsteps of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. I shall fulfill without exception all the diverse aspirations of the waking practice. Of all Buddhas gone to freedom 3 times everywhere. Yeah, so rejoice and follow the footsteps, you know. And that's also very important to read the biographies of these great masters of the past. I just mentioned this morning, for example, what's it? Image? Great Image, right? The biography of Vajrayana Lotsawa. Or you can read Jadadika Tales of the Buddha, right? There's many very inspiring biographies. Or one of my favorite also from the Nyingma tradition, Shabkar. You know, the life of Shabkar. And Mathieu Ricard did an incredible job in translating that, and a lot of information in the endnotes and appendixes. Very interesting book. Yeah, it's a bit thick, but it's so inspiring to have like Milarepa biography, but then combined with the Lamrim together. You know, that's a very inspiring biography. For me, it was an obstacle to my studies, because I was a bit down, and then I was reading that, and I couldn't put it down, and then I didn't have time to study. So then I had to go to debate, and then I was just chatting with my classmates over the weather or something like that. So the monks in the monastery don't think they're always very serious, you know. Sometimes also we relax, you know. Yeah. Do something else and have a break. Once I was so fed up, and I was living with a roommate in a place where there was construction at the same time. So it was very noisy, dusty. One of my Dutch friends who worked for the Casa Healthcare, she came to my room once and said, "How can you live here?" So then one day I thought, I cannot live here anymore. So then one of my friends, he took me to a 5-star hotel in Mysore, you know. Very, very good food and good room. And then we had dinner and they were playing violin at dinner. So I thought, I'll go back home tomorrow. Yeah. I was so happy to be back in the monastery. Yeah. But sometimes it's good to take a break, because if you take a break, you see something else and then you actually appreciate where you just came from, right? Yeah. Yeah. Gaza. Go on, follow the footsteps of the Buddha. Yeah, I will fully bodhisattva way. I shall fulfill without exception all the diverse aspirations of the waking practice. Of all the Buddhas gone to freedom 3 times everywhere. Yeah. And then it says, in relation with the skillful way of Samantabhadra, in order to practice. Yeah. So Samantabhadra was one of the bodhisattvas' highest faculties. Yeah, the Buddha praised Samantabhadra a lot. You know. Same as always weeping bodhisattva, yeah, because they were so skillful in the way to progress quickly, you know, even on the sutra part, you know. Yeah, so that's why Samantabhadra and always weeping bodhisattva, they're very much praised by the Buddha. The elder brother, next page, right? Elder brother of the son and daughters of the Buddhas, I completely dedicate all this goodness. Yeah. So that's a very famous dedication prayer, right? In order to practice exactly as a wise one. So that's kind of prayer we sometimes also do, right? Remember this verse? It's kind of, may I, exactly like Samantabhadra, may I also become like that, or may I also pray like that. There's this story about this Amala without education in Tibet, who went to the Jamyang temple. And there were a few people before her, and they were doing so well with the prayers, everything included in dedication, very, very skillful and very, very well educated, and they make this beautiful prayer. And then Amala came, and the Amala said, may I do the same as the people just did before me? Yeah, so that's very similar to this aspect, may I, But of course, what Amala did, she listened to what the people were doing before, right? So she knew more or less what they were praying for, although she didn't have the knowledge and the capacity, but at least the intention was there, So for the same thing, if you know a little bit about what Samantabhadra did, then you can pray, may I become like Samantabhadra, or may I become like His Holiness Dalai Lama, or Lama Zopa Rinpoche, Lama Daopa Rinpoche, or like those incredible beings who established so much good projects for the Dharma, right? So then, if you make prayers like that, then the faster you are, the better. Right? Oh, may I become like this? Oh, may I become like that? If you read or you see something that is very inspiring, then you pray, may I become like that? You create cause to become like that, right? Yeah. Yeah. And you create merit, and you rejoice, and yeah. Yeah, and then there's a vast way. And similar way, the next one. Likewise, may I dedicate, just as a skillful Samantabhadra, with a pure body, speech, and mind, pure actions, and pure Buddha fields. Yeah, so pure body, speech, and mind. Yeah, you could say that refers to the Kasa Dzok Min Jiangsung, right? The last two lines. The second last line, pure body, speech, and mind, refers to the complete aspirations, And then actions, you can refer maybe to the Kasa, the maturing the minds of sentient beings. And then the last one, pure Buddha fields, refers to establishment of a Buddha field, right? You see those 3 points come up again and again, yeah, to complete or perfect your aspirations, to mature the minds of sentient beings, and to establish Buddha fields, right? That's 3 very important essential practices of the Bodhisattva. So you see it comes true throughout the text. I shall give rise to the aspiration of Manjushri. For this Bodhisattva, practice and all-embracing good. So Manjushri was also one of the very skillful Bodhisattvas, right? To perfect these practices without discouragement or pause in future eons. So may I become like Manjushri. Manjushri is all very important to depend upon. That Lama Tsongkhapa also has many aspects of seeing Manjushri as the principal deity or the guru in the aspect of Manjushri. It's very important, Yeah, wisdom is so crucial. You need wisdom to study, to analyze. So that's why, many masters throughout all the traditions, right? They depend on Manjushri. Same as if you study the prayer to be born in Sukhavati, then also Lama Tsongkhapa says, may I generate the 7 wisdoms, is very strong in that prayer, right? And to have the 7 wisdom, and may I become like Manjushri, right? To have the same kind of aspects. Yeah, so that's a very interesting in Lama Tsongkhapa's prayer of be born in the pure land of Sukhavati. Then Lama Tsongkhapa's first few verses are related with those 3 points, right? With aspirations be completed, wrapping man in sentient being's mind, and in particular, establish Buddha fields, or may I be born in the Buddha fields. Yeah, particularly the last one, may I be born in the Buddha fields, and then when I'm born there, may I have emanations to go to impure realms to benefit beings. So that's a very, if you once born you in the Pure Lands, in Amitabha Pure Land, you can have emanation bodies, and you go to impure lands to benefit beings, right? And then Lama Tsongkhapa says, even if I don't achieve this supreme attainment of being born in the Pure Lands, may I in all future lifetimes, same as we read before, be ordained and keep my vows purely and have compassion like Chenrezig, and the wisdom like Manjushri, and life obstacles be gone like Amitayus, and all the obstacles of mental and physical aspects may be removed by like the medicine Buddha. Yeah, so that's very clearly referring to the different Buddhas important to depend upon. Yeah. Then that's the concluding aspirations. It says, may my pure activities be endless. Yeah, so your activities of body, speech and mind. The good qualities be boundless. Yeah, so all your countless qualities you have. Why? In order to benefit beings, in abiding in immeasurable activities to benefit beings, right? May I actualize infinite emanations, because the more emanations you have, the more you can do. Yeah, so we're very short-sighted, as I said before. Also in Rinpoche, one day we were walking back home, and then Rinpoche asked me, it was very striking. I told you this story already a few times. I was quite, I thought, what do I answer on this question? Because Rinpoche asked me, he said, Namdak, what do you think after 30 years? Will this place be dead, or will it flourish? Rinpoche said. So I thought maybe dead, maybe not. Flourish, maybe also difficult. So I didn't really know what to answer, but I said something in between. Rinpoche, maybe. He said, Rinpoche said, yeah. Rinpoche said, some people, they go to Pure Lands, some people, other planets, some here, there. And then I said, Rinpoche, but Rinpoche has to come back to Kasa to help us, you know. And then Rinpoche, but yeah. So that's true, you know. If you sometimes when we die, we think, oh, we're born again as human, this planet, same kind of environment and things like that. But that doesn't pervade, right? You can just go somewhere else, or Pure Lands, or Kasa, or yeah. That's what Holiness says, no? When the earth starts to burn, yeah, then we go to Pure Lands. It's true, right? If it's not possible on the planet anymore, then also important to make some connection with Pure Lands, right? There will be a time that on planet Earth it's not very good anymore, right? So then don't get too attached to your to planet Earth. Yeah. Limitless activities, actualize infinite emanations, right? So you can go in different places. Extend with aspirations. Limitless is the end of space. So limitless comes up a lot. And why does it come up? Because the motivation of great compassion is limitless. Bodhicitta is limitless. The activities of bodhisattvas are limitless. Yeah? And the Buddha's activities are limitless, right? If you read this, it's so interesting. If you, for example, read the perfection of effort, yeah, in the Lamrim Chemo, you know, in Lama Tsongkhapa's great exposition. There's a section on the perfection of effort, you know. So inspiring. There's a quote from Ratnavali, you know, Nagarjuna's Jewel Garland, you know. It's very inspiring. And that's then based on a quotation of the Lodemi Sewato, the sutra of the Bodhisattva with inexhaustible intellect or intelligence, maybe you can translate, you know. It's very inspiring. There you see that Lama Tsongkhapa proves why is it possible to become a Buddha, you know. Because to build effort, because the cause is vast, right, this great compassion. So you create vast amount of merit. And we also say in the middle way studies, the realization of emptiness becomes Rikpa Namtan Taya Bekone Tony To. It means you realize emptiness from a vast, infinite amount of reasonings. That's how they say. But actually the meaning is, because the motivation of bodhicitta is so vast, then your capacity of the realization of emptiness becomes very vast. You know? So that's been explained also in the middle way philosophy. You know? That because the cause is so vast, as Lama Tsongkhapa says in that explanation on the perfection of effort, that's exactly why you can create causes for enlightenment. You know, that's very, very inspiring. You know, that if you see that aspect, because if you think about, as Shantideva says in his book on the Bodhisattva way of life, even have a wish for one being to be released from a headache. You know, the accumulation of merit is beyond comprehension. So if you then have the wish for all sentient beings, but not just from a headache, from all suffering without exception, right? Yeah. For us, it's very difficult to get in our mind, you know. But yeah, because we don't see karma, relationships, or things like that. But yeah, the masters, they see, and that's why they explain this. There's the Buddha who wrote this, right? So it's kind of, you know, that this vast aspect is so important to look at, you know. That is all possible. Yeah, because one thought, as we know, karma has the power to increase. Yeah, so one thought can produce an incredible amount of future developments, right? It's true for positive, it's true for negative. Yeah, and there's big numbers everywhere, always. You know, that if you do this, then this is possible, or yeah. So that's thinking in vast ways constantly. So limitless is the end of space, likewise limitless are living beings, thus limitless are karma and afflictions as well. Because there are countless infinite beings with countless infinite negative karma, with countless infinite afflictions, so also our motivation to help them should also be limitless. Yeah, to really have this strong determination, whatever it takes, I'm not gonna give up. You know, that's very important. This courageous attitude, like His Holiness says, same thing. In the early days when the Chinese kill me, it doesn't matter, I just could continue next lifetime. You know, that's kind of the courageous attitude we should have, you know. Yeah. Yeah, very important. If you see how much effort they have put into the practice for many lifetimes, they look at us and think, oh, those little beings, they just make a big hassle of nothing. What we went through, nothing. You know, that's very clear. So then you see, if you then read those stories and you see how that the Buddha went through so many hardships, or the always weeping Bodhisattva, just for one verse, you know, so much hardships. And then we, oh, it's a bit hot, oh, it's a bit warm now, oh, and maybe too difficult to study, or things like that, right? Yeah, this is nothing, you know. So that's why if you read those hardships these great masters went through, then what we do is nothing, you know. So yeah, we're very lucky to have this condition, so use those conditions before it's too late. Because when things are more difficult and you don't practice now, then that will be even more difficult, right? That's very clear. So that's why now it's the time, now it's the right time, you know. If you don't do now, then future will don't think next lifetime will be easier. It will be, if you look at what the world, which direction the world is going, it doesn't look like a Pure Land, you know. So so then you know what's going to happen, right? So it's better to act now and make a connection, and then if you can deal with the difficulties now, then of course you can deal with difficulties in the future. If you don't can deal with difficulties now, then in the future will be more difficult, so forget it, you know. So that's why you really have to, if you have a difficulty, you should think, oh, wow, great. Wow, my mind got negative. Very interesting, very interesting. My mind got so negative it wants to get out of this, but I'm not going. Listen to this mind. Yeah, that's very important. Der karma lesson. Limitless is space, time, likewise limitless living beings. Limitless karma and afflictions. May my aspiration reach the limit as well. Yeah, so because everything is so vast, I also need vast aspirations of compassion, bodhicitta. Yeah. One may offer Buddha's supreme object of offering, all wealth and adornments, infinite worlds in 10 directions, and one may offer during eons numbers of atoms of the world, even the greatest happiness for humans and gods. Yeah, so in similar way, see countless Buddhas make countless offerings, right? Very similar as we talked about. Then there's a verse, the benefits of making aspiration in general. But whoever hears this extraordinary aspiration, yeah, of the Bodhisattva, and longing for the highest awakening gives rise to faith just once, you know, creates marvelous positive potential, you know. So that's what he said. If you read a text like this as a novel book, then one thing, of course, you put something in print. But if you have some faith and you have some aspirations to go in the same direction, then the merit you create is beyond comprehension, right? If you really think. Yeah, because why is it beyond comprehension? Because you create a cause for enlightenment, right? And enlightenment is a very vast, because we don't understand even the first level of bhumi of a bodhisattva, really, or the second. So then to understand what enlightenment is all about is even more complicated, right? Yeah. Coalesce. Yeah, it gives rise to faith just once, great far more positive potential. Then there's 13 benefits in detail. Those who make this heartful aspiration for the Bodhisattva way will be free of all the lower rebirths. Normally, if you have bodhicitta and you're on the peak level of the part of preparation, then you're not born in the lower realms anymore because you don't have the conditions to be born in lower realms. Yeah. If you're on the kasa, on the kawa lesson, on the direct perception of emptiness, yeah, then you don't have the cause to be born. On the pure grounds, on the grounds, yeah, bodhisattva, the bhumis, then you don't have the cause to be born in the lower rebirths. Yeah, so the peak level of the bodhisattva on the part of preparation has not the conditions, and when you're Arya Bodhisattva, you don't have the cause to be born. But the Arya Bodhisattva prays to be born in the lower rebirths, right? Sometimes, if there's benefit, yeah. So or within samsara, yeah. Wherever there's benefit, they pray to be born there, you know. So they're born by the power of prayer and not by the power of afflictions. Yeah. So those who did BP, they know when we went over in the Uttara Tantra, right? Then we know that they had this mental body, as we call it, right? This non-contaminated body, because they're born by the power of prayer and not by the power of karma and affliction. They only use karma and afflictions to be born, previous created karma, right? Yeah. Free of harmful companions, yeah. So always have good friends, because harmful companions, as we always say, the bad friends don't walk around with horns on their head. Yeah, although once I think his Holiness landed somewhere and there was some protest from Chinese people, and then they were protesting, and then His Holiness did like this. Do I really look like this? Yeah, very fun. Yeah. But harmful friends, yeah, they say they don't wear horns on their head, so they, you know, people can lead you astray from the spiritual practice, right? So you always be careful. Yeah. If your mind is not stable yet. If your mind is stable, then of course, then you can benefit those beings and hang out with those beings, no problem. Free of harmful companions, and quickly see Amitabha, infinite light. Yeah, the pure lands of Amitabha. Oh, we're on schedule. Or not? Oh no, I skipped one page. I didn't skip, but when I thought we finished almost, then I skipped one page. Yeah, anyway, we almost died. Yeah, okay. And even if that's where we are, right? Yeah. And even if this very human life, they will be nourished by happiness and have all conducive circumstances without waiting long. You know? Yeah, so even in this life, there's great benefit. As Holiness says so many times. If you find, you know, if you look at these vast visions, but even bodhicitta in this life, His Holiness says so many times. When His Holiness looks so well at his age, and then sometimes people ask, and His Holiness said, I have two secrets. One is I make sure I sleep enough. Second one is bodhicitta, right? That's what makes His Holiness life, you know, healthy and meaningful. And even with long life, His Holiness said, you can do long life initiations and long life practices, but bodhicitta, I said recently in Bodhgaya, right? Last winter, last winter in Bodhgaya, he said the best long life practice is bodhicitta. Yeah, it's very true. If you really have bodhicitta, you want to go whatever it takes to work for the benefit of beings, right? So then automatically you create causes for long life, because you create merit and you move obstacles, right? Yeah. So that's only so many times. The main, even in this life, so many. It's only said so many times. If you want to be selfish in an intelligent way. Yeah. So if you practice exchanging self for others and you practice the Bodhisattva ideal, then you create more cause for happiness, you know? Yeah. So without waiting long, and then eventually you become like Samantabhadra himself, right? Those who give voice to this extraordinary aspiration will quickly and completely purify the 5 boundless harmful actions created on the power of ignorance. So the 5 heinous crimes, or Jamyang, we say in Tibetan. Sam means boundary. That's why they call it boundless. Yeah, me is a negative. Yeah, so that's why sometimes we translate as 5 boundless. It's more literal translation. So why are they boundless, or why are they beyond a boundary? Because when you have created them, you straight away fall into lower realms. Yeah, you don't stay long in the bardo, you just straight away go. And the negativity can also not be measured. Yeah, of the 5 heinous crimes of killing your father, killing your mother, killing an arat, causing a schism in the Dharma, and drawing blood from a Buddha with a harmful intent. An historical Buddha, right? Because historical Buddha you cannot, one of the 1,000 Buddhas of 14 years you cannot kill. Yeah. So yeah, that's very heavy negative karma, and also Mahabodha talked about it. Do not. He saw the results of these acts. You know, so he told the people, don't do it, please. You know? Yeah. Boundless harmful actions. But yeah, you can purify. Yeah, in the Abhidharma we say once you have created one of the 4 boundless kasa. Did I say 4? Huh? I did, right? Yeah. Once you created 5, one of these 5 boundless actions in the Abhidharma, they say you cannot achieve liberation in that life. But yeah, in the Prasangika or the middle way traditions, then you can purify every negative karma, right? In the Vajrayana it's even more emphasized. Yeah, so here also you can. But yeah, it just indicates the power of that negative karma, right? Yeah. But by the power of these kind of prayers, you can purify it, right? Yeah. Yeah. Blessed with the supreme knowledge, excellent body, family, attributes, and appearance. They will invisible. My eye is getting tired. Invisible, too fast, infinite forces, and misleading teachers. And all the 3 worlds will make offerings. Yeah, so to get all the right marks and signs, yeah, and all the 3 worlds make offerings. So what do you think? Is that possible or not? If you're really clever, you say, but what about the formless realms? There's no offerings in the formless realms, right? There's no form. So then you say, okay, but the 3 worlds means the humans, the gods, and nagas, or those who live on the ground, you know? Yeah. Or you could say humans, gods of the desire realm, and gods of the form realm. Yeah, that's just different interpretations in the different commentaries. Going quickly to the noble body tree and sitting there to benefit sentient beings, subduing all interfering forces, they will fully awaken and turn the 3 wheels of the Dharma, like Buddha Sakyamuni did, right? So eventually we will achieve enlightenment, and here is referring to the 1,000 Buddhas of this fortunate eon who achieve enlightenment in Bodhgaya, yeah, but yeah, we can also achieve enlightenment in different places, right? On earth, or Akanishta, or different other places, yeah. Then it says the benefits in brief. So there was a list of 13 benefits in detail, and now there's one verse, the benefits in brief. Have no doubt that complete awakening is the fully ripened result comprehended only by Buddha. Yeah, so the results we don't really comprehend. Just one generation of bodhicitta or a generation of compassion. There's incredible effects in the future. Of holding in mind by teaching, reading, or reciting. Yeah, this aspiration of Buddhist practice. So that's also inexpressible, you know, to the benefits of just contemplating this prayer, reciting this prayer, studying this prayer, you know. Yeah, it's kind of, for us, difficult to comprehend, you know. Because it's vast, right? So because so vast, we don't really comprehend the results of these vast activities. Then, dedications that follows the Bodhisattva. In order to train, just like the hero Manjushri, who knows reality as it is, you know. And just like Samantabhadra as well, similar as one of the previous prayers, I completely dedicate this goodness just as they did. Yeah, so I dedicate all. There's also a very famous prayer we do. May I dedicate everything like Manjushri did and Samantabhadra did. Yeah, so then, with a dedication which is praised as greatest by all the Buddhas gone to freedom in the 3 times. So that dedication they did, they achieved enlightenment with it. So we dedicate in a similar way. You know, by all the Buddhas gone to freedom in the 3 times. I too dedicate all my root of goodness. Yeah, so here is dedication, meaning the root of goodness, or the root of virtue, I dedicate for the attainment of the Bodhisattva practice. And then think about the 3 rounds of offerings. We didn't skip anything, no? No? Okay, we go perfectly on time then. Yeah, I can have time for some tea. When Kushtuda Rinpoche kept Stephen Rinpoche was giving lungs, transmission. Then Rinpoche was just reading, and then the attendant gave the tea, and then like this, and then reading, like that. For hours, and then he was already in his late 70s, Yeah, very impressive. Right? Right. Then, in 757, dedication towards actualize the results. When the moment of my death arrives, by eliminating all obstacles and directing perceiving Amitabha, may I go immediately to Sukhavati, the pure land of great bliss. Yeah, so eliminate all obscurations, right? So by the purification practice, that's very important before you die, to do confession, to do purification. If you have done approximation retreat with Kasa fire puja, you do self-initiation, that's very important. And otherwise you recite this prayer, right? Yeah. It's a very powerful prayer for a time of death. And directly perceive Amitabha and go immediately to Sukhavati, Or when other people are dying, then recite this prayer for them, Or next to them, or at a distance, that's also, yeah. Or they can hear when they're still in the dying process, and they can still hear. Then you can, if you have some poa transmission, you can recite a poa text, or you can recite something like this, right? Very profound. King of Prayer is very profound. Just by hearing the words, it put imprints, even a person who's dying, Yeah. Having gone to Sukhavati, may I actualize the meaning of these aspirations, fulfilling them all without exception, for the benefit of beings as long as the world endures, right? So that's, when I go there, may I then actualize all these things I just prayed for, yeah, in order to benefit beings, Then dedication towards receiving the prophecy. So then when you're born in the Pure Lands, you get a prophecy, or sometimes as a certain level of development, the teacher or the Lama or the Buddhas, they give a prophecy that, you can get this, or you can do that, or you can, like here, you can become a Buddha then and then, or whatsoever. Yeah. Born from an extreme beautiful superlative lotus, in this joyful land, the Buddha's magnificent mandala, may I receive a prediction of my awakening directly from Buddha Amitabha. Yeah, so the same thing if you're born at the time of Maitreya. Maitreya will also give a prediction, right? That's also one of the uncommon features of the future Buddha Maitreya. But also when you go to Pure Lands, then Amitabha will tell you when you become a Buddha. And you see that same in the Golden Light Sutra, when the Buddha talks about his previous lifetimes, and they saw this Buddha, and they gave him the prediction of enlightenment, Having received the prediction there, may I create vast benefit for beings throughout the 10 directions, with billion emanations, countless by the power of wisdom. So wisdom, samadhi, and miraculous manifestations. Then the conclusion, 2 verses. Through even the small virtue I've accumulated by offering this prayer of the Bodhisattva practice, may all the positive aspirations of beings be fulfilled in an instant. So we also pray for all beings who have these aspirations to be fulfilled. To creating limitless positive potential by dedicating this prayer of Samantabhadra deeds, may all beings drowning in this torment of suffering enter the presence of Amitabha. Or any other Buddha field you have a connection with, right? So that, including this last verse, which is in number, verse 62, that actually is the actual sutra, according to the sources. The last verse is composed by Lotsawa Verachana Lotsawa, or Lotsawa Yeshide, to this king of aspiration, because he translated it, so he also dedicates, which is the greatest of the sublime, helping infinite wonders in samsara, to the accomplishment of this scriptural destiny with Samantabhadra practice, because it's all referring to the practice of Samantabhadra. May suffering realms be utterly empty of all beings. So that's kind of very compact dedication, right? That you dedicate this king of aspiration, right? To accomplish all those aspirations. Yeah? So you recite it all, you prepare with a seven-limb prayer, yeah, and then you recite all those aspirations, and then you dedicate those aspirations in the same way as you just recited, right? Yeah. Okay, very good. Yeah. Okay. So then, questions we have to do, or is there questions or no? Yeah. Any questions? Like questions or? Or no questions? Yeah. Maybe not this topic. It's not very philosophical. Yeah.
B has a question. B has a question online. Hi, B.
Yeah. Hi.
Oh, wait, we need to let you unmute yourself. Hold on, wait. Okay, you can unmute. Go ahead.
Just now you mentioned about the vastness of great compassion.
Allez. Yeah.
I'm just wondering if there is a difference between what is called immeasurable compassion and great compassion, maybe in terms of the aspect of vastness.
Yeah. So great compassion is defined as a mind that wishes all sentient beings without exception to be free of suffering, right? Well, compassion is just a wish for beings to be free of suffering. So great compassion, in that regards, all sentient beings without exception, is infinite sentient beings, right? So that's kind of what we call a very vast aspect, like the sky, we say, you know. You know, it means all mother wanderings in sentient beings equal to the sky, not just the sky on the planet Earth, but the sky in infinite directions, right? And then infinite, there's no end to the universe. So
I'm saying compassion and immeasurable compassion.
Yeah. Immeasurable compassion? Immeasurable compassion, within the four immeasurables, that's why we call them immeasurable, because you cannot measure. You know, if you have immeasurable equanimity, you have immeasurable compassion, immeasurable love, immeasurable joy, right? Then that's why they're called immeasurables, because you cannot measure, because of the vastness that's infinite sentient beings, right?
So in terms of the vastness, are the two the same, different?
Which two?
Immeasurable compassion and great compassion.
So the compassion within the four immeasurables is compassion in general, right? But just the mere wish for all beings to be free of suffering is quite something. That's why it's called immeasurable. Yeah. But then when we talk about great compassion, you take the responsibility to liberate all sentient beings beyond, without exception. So then that's even, from the point of view of the result, vaster, because you take the responsibility. It's not just a wish. How wonderful it will be if all sentient beings be free from suffering, and may they be free of suffering. Yeah. So the first two wishes, they are within the four immeasurables, right? The compassion within the four immeasurables. How wonderful it be, and may they be. Yeah. Then the great compassion we refer to is, I will take responsibility to liberate all sentient beings. So that's even vaster than the previous two. Yeah? It builds up, right? May they. So how wonderful, may they, I will cause. Yeah? So then the third one is kind of vaster from the point of view. Compassion is already vast, but then you take the responsibility. So your results of that responsibility is even vaster than the previous one, which is just a general wish. Yeah. Same as the difference between aspirational bodhicitta and engaging bodhicitta, right? There's also a big difference in the amount of merit, or the vastness being created, having a mere wish to go to Buddhahood and actually undertaking the road and engaging in practicing six perfections. Yeah. So also there's a very big difference in the vastness in the accumulation of merit between aspirational bodhicitta and engaging bodhicitta. Yeah.
So the difference between the great compassion and bodhicitta is that great compassion has yet to have the aspiration to attain enlightenment for the sake of all sentient beings.
Exactly. Because great compassion is the causal aspiration, and if you want to generate the mind of bodhicitta, you need a reasoned aspiration, right? So the reasoned aspiration is the wish to achieve enlightenment in order to liberate beings. Yeah? So that's exactly true. Then bodhicitta is even more vaster than great compassion, right? Yeah.
I do have another question if
Yeah.
there's
Okay.
no other questions.
Yeah.
I can go ahead?
Yeah,
Okay.
someday today, so yeah, why not?
The practice to go to Pure Land.
Yeah.
I always, whenever I say the prayers for that practice, every now and then, occasionally,
Yeah.
I find that I can't say sincerely
Yeah.
because I feel that there is kind of a contradiction in the practice.
Yeah.
It is a Mahayana practice, yet the intention seems to be Hinayana, in that, I want to go to Pure Land so that I can be ensured to be enlightened.
Yeah.
Even though it's going to take a really long time,
Yeah.
and in the meantime,
Yeah.
all my mother sentient beings are suffering. So,
Yeah,
I
very
mean,
true.
theoretically speaking.
But, if you live in a period when it's going to be very difficult to benefit beings in a particular realm, then if you go to the Pure Land, you can get specific kind of realizations by arriving there, right? And then you can, with magic elimination, go to other places, which you cannot do in the present human rebirth, for example. So there are benefits, right? But you have to make sure that your motivation is very pure, otherwise you will not be born in the Pure Lands, right? And we know the stories of Geshe Tenzin and others who prayed to be born in the lower realms of state of existence, and they were born in the Pure Lands. So that's also depends on many factors, and of course it's very sneaky to get a wrong motivation, or similar as in Christianity to be born in the God realms, and it's very popular in Buddhist countries like Singapore and places like that people don't do any practice of the Dharma, not all of them, but there's a certain amount of people, and then we go to church, they go to the temple, they burn some incense, say Nama Amitafu, and they go back home. And that's for them the Buddhist practice, right? To be born in the Pure Lands. Yeah. Of course, it's good, you can make a connection, it's better than no connection. But the motivation is true, what you say. It's a kind of little bit, okay, let the Buddhas do all the work, and I might have an easy kind of trip, But yeah, what you say, the best motivation, that's why many people are not really interested in the Pure Lands, because it's very sneaky to get your motivation correct, right? It's easy to have this kind of selfish motivation, So that's why it's better to establish the Pure Lands yourself. That's this prayer also, a lot of verses related with creating your own Pure Land. Become a Buddha and create your own Pure Land, because for certain individuals, it's just good to be born in the Pure Lands, Because, then if there's a particular karma, to be without obstacles, enlightenment being guaranteed, and things like that, right? So for certain individuals, there's great benefits. But you have to check your motivation. That's very true. Yeah.
So the aspect of Pure Land that may be able to help with the pure motivation is that when I'm in Pure Land, I can receive the teaching, and then I have the ability to emanate.
Yeah. And enlightenment is guaranteed, right? So you know that for sure. And then you can benefit more beings. That could be a good motivation, right?
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, there's one in the chat. When following the Bodhisattva vow, if you transgress one of the 18, how do you purify, and do you then need to retake them?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So it depends if you transgress to which level it's been transgressed. Yeah. If it's completely broken, with all the factors complete, then it's good to retake, right? And even if it's damaged, it's good to retake. Yeah, the Bodhisattva vows you can take again and again and again. And that's different from the Prachimoksha vows for monks and nuns, for example. In the Bodhisattva vows you can take as much as you like. And then it says in the Bodhisattva vows, if you haven't taken them before, the first time you take, they are established. If you haven't degenerated your training, they increase in their power. If you have degenerated your training, they're being restored. Yeah, so that's why taking Bodhisattva vows again and again is very important. And then next to it, if there's partly broken or completely broken Bodhisattva vows, then you confess and do like 35 Buddhas of confession. It's very clear in the scriptures to do that. In the Bodhisattva, in Shantideva and Shiksha Samudaya, it's very clear that you should recite the 35 Buddhas of confession on a daily basis. because sometimes we partly damage the bodhisattva vows, or so that's good to do those practices and not purify negative deeds of the past, of course. Nothing is impossible to purify, right? Yeah, and also important to know, of course, we have to be serious and practice the bodhisattva vows, or whatever vows we have, the best way we can, but the vows are also meant as a guide or for a person who is not perfect yet, right? So also that we know that we make mistakes and we purify them and restore them, and we move on, right? So the vows are not meant for a person who is perfect. Yeah, a person who is already a perfect bodhisattva doesn't need vows to train, because even if they take the bodhisattva vows, then there's no way of training, because they already have all the right practice complete, right? So that's a few aspects you can think of. Yeah.
Thank you. And then finally, Venerable Paldron. Namaskar, Venerable.
Thank you, Geshe, for the wonderful teachings and transmission. I had a question on the Tathagata Garba. I was wondering whether I could ask it.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll do it in debate form. So take Tathagata Garba, follows, which is also called the basic constituent or the Buddha nature. It follows, it has a definition.
Correct.
Please pause it.
Definition.
Please pause it.
It's positive. The definition of Tathagata Garba. Okay, give me.
The emptiness of sentient beings' minds which possess defilements and stains.
Yeah.
So take this.
That's the meaning, but if it's a definition, that's a debate. Because if it's a definition, you have the you need the definitum and the definition to have the sequence of realization and the 8 pervasions, right? Yeah. So the sequence of realizations, what you realize first, that's kind of debatable in this point. Yeah. Anyway, that's a detail. Yeah. But that's the meaning, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So the Buddha nature, it follows, it has 2 aspects, the ultimate and the conventional.
Buddha nature has the 2 aspects. Yeah. Correct.
And the ultimate is the emptiness of sentient beings' mind, which possesses defilements and stains. And the conventional is the power of the energy in the minds of sentient beings, which has the ability to develop.
Yeah, the ability to
the
develop.
Transcendental law.
Yeah.
So, but then I am confused as to why the basic constituent is referred to as not a real cause. Because the conventional aspect of it is what we are developing, right?
Yeah,
it is a cause.
It's referred to. It's referred to as a substantial cause, right? From the point of view of name, not from the point of view actuality, because it's permanent, right? But from the point of view of name, of the name,
ultimate.
Yeah, because the emptiness of the mind is permanent, and because it's labeled as the substantial cause, from the point of view of the meaning, that is the main aspect that later on develops into the Dharmakaya, right? So from that point of view, we say substantial cause, but it's not really a cause.
So in a way, it has both the permanent and an impermanent aspect.
Ooh, the Tathagata Garba?
Yeah.
Only has permanent aspect. It is permanent.
But then if it has only the permanent aspect, how does it transmute or change? How does it have the ability to develop?
It doesn't develop.
So then what is that conventional aspect of
the conventional aspect develops, but the conventional aspect is not the Tathagata Garba, right? The conventional aspect...
Isn't that the conventional?
Because
isn't that the conventional aspect of... Yeah.
You have this mind of a sentient being with empty of inherent existence, right? The emptiness of inherent existence never develops, remains the same all the way through to Buddhahood.
Okay.
But the mind with contamination, right? That contamination is in the process of being developed and being eliminated, and then the pure mind remains with the same emptiness. Yeah.
I see.
So the same as we say, is this jewel covered in dirt, and then you get rid of the dirt, and only the jewel remains, right?
But
So
the process of getting rid of the dirt, I mean, that has to be removed, right?
Yeah.
That has to be eliminated. So
Correct.
there has to be something that has to change.
Correct.
Otherwise, if it remains just like that with
Yeah.
the stains,
So the
we
dirt
cannot
is a
achieve
conventional
that.
aspect, right? The conventional aspect of the mind, its afflictions and karmic aspects and imprints and seeds, you know. That's the dirt, yeah. But that all goes, and then the jewel remains. So the jewel doesn't change, right?
Okay.
Because the emptiness of our mind remains the same at the level of Buddhahood, right? It's also the emptiness of the mind of the Buddha, you know.
So is it correct to say that the conventional aspect of the Buddha nature is the developmental lineage? Is that the developmental lineage?
The developmental lineage is a sign of the activation.
The sign of the activation of the basic essence.
The sign of the activation of the Buddha potential that has to be developed. Because once you hear something about the Bodhisattva ideal and you get really kind of moved by it, yeah, that activates this lineage of the Bodhisattva. If you hear things about the suffering of samsara and you get moved by it, that activates the lineage of the self-liberation, right?
And so the naturally abiding lineage is simply the emptiness of the mind.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, because
yeah, thank you.
Because
this was not an easy.
No, those two aspects. If you look then from the point of view of the Dharmakaya, we have the Dharmakaya as two aspects. Remember, the two purities. One purity by nature, which is the emptiness of inherent existence, which is exactly the same as the emptiness of inherent existence of our mind, and the other aspect is the purity of adventitious defilement, and that's exactly this garbage around the jewel. So the jewel we have. And the jewel at the level of Buddhahood, that jewel at the level of Buddhahood is which Dharmakaya? The Dharmakaya by nature. And for us is the Tathagata, right? Yeah. And then the other purity is, at the time of Buddhahood, Dharmakaya, is to be separated or having purified the adventitious defilements. And that's exactly the dirt that is sitting around our jewel, right? So you can see from the Dharmakaya, you have those two aspects that are related with our two aspects of Buddha potential as well. Yeah. No?
And so what is the difference between the Buddha jewel and enlightenment?
The Buddha jewel and enlightenment. I mean, enlightenment, the Buddha jewel is an aspect of enlightenment, right? Same, what is the difference between Dharmakaya and enlightenment? Dharmakaya is an aspect of enlightenment. Because enlightenment also includes the form bodies, for example. Right? Yeah. So if you achieve enlightenment, you also have the form bodies and the wisdom truth body. Well, the nature truth body, the Dharmakaya, the Savara Dharmakaya, right? The nature truth body, that is just an aspect of enlightenment, and the other aspects are the omniscient mind of the Buddha and the form bodies of the Buddha. No? Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. This exam was really helpful.
Okay. Good.
In going into the dirt. And trying to clarify. So
get out of the dirt. Yeah. Very good. Yeah.
Thank you, Venerable Paldron. Anybody in the Gompa? Yep.
Thank you. Sorry, because I don't know how this is going to come out.
Yeah.
Slightly less advanced question.
Yeah.
But is the Mahayana perspective on like great compassion and liberating all sentient beings kind of connected to emptiness, because it's kind of like you're understanding that you're not separate from everything else, so you can't be liberated without everything else being liberated. And is that also connected to, I think you mentioned like Arya Bodhisattvas willingly being born in lower realms or in
to help others, right?
difficult circumstances.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the great compassion is you're not necessarily just going to be continuously in more privileged circumstances or in pure lands. Like you could be willingly
and by the control, because the Arya Bodhisattvas, they have kind of what we call Nyumala Wangtopas. That means they have an attainment that gives them control over the afflictions. And they use the afflictions rather than being moved by the afflictions. Yeah, when we take rebirth, then we propelled by the power of afflictions. they just use these aspects to be born at a particular place. You know? Yeah. And then your first part was with compassion. I forgot. I'm just a bit tired today. Somehow. Yeah.
The Mahayana understanding or the perspective on great compassion and focusing on liberating all sentient beings, being connected to emptiness.
Yeah. I got it again. Yeah. So it is connected. Nothing is not. Everything is in nature of dependent origination, right? But the other aspect is, if you realize emptiness, that's what they say in the sutras and the commentaries, and that's what it says by realized beings, that once you have a realization of emptiness, that will increase your compassion. Why will it increase your compassion? Because you see the dependence, as you already mentioned. But also, what even more powerful is, you see why beings are wandering around in samsara, because of ignorance. Once you realize emptiness, you understand ignorance completely. Yeah? And then, having seen that, you also see the possibility of the potential of liberating beings. Because you know it's possible for them to get liberated. Because you know it's possible to eliminate ignorance. Because you have seen yourself, once you realize emptiness, ignorance starts to lose the game and eventually will be eliminated, right? So that's why what we said before often, that the most bodhisattvas, the majority, realize emptiness before bodhicitta. Because once you have realized emptiness, your renunciation is stronger and your compassion is stronger, and that makes your bodhicitta also stronger. Yeah? Yeah?
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, so then let's dedicate. We already dedicated with the King of Prayers, but yeah, we do a few more dedications then, our brief dedication list.
I just need to share.
Inspiration. Yeah, I talk for a little bit. It's good. Okay. Yeah, so let's dedicate, because this aspiration prayer of the King of Prayers, as we saw, is very vast and very profound. So it's very fortunate. The last few days reading the commentary is very inspiring, to read that. So thank you for that. And then try to dedicate also our discussion over this point and contemplation, and try to recite it on a regular basis or whenever there's time, for those who passed away, or for those who are sick and ill, or for yourself to develop, right? So world peace, and because it combines so many vast aspects, right, of accumulation of merit, and that's really needed to have those aspiration prayers in these kind of degenerated times, for your own development, but also for others, right? So try to think like that, and then try to dedicate this merit, as we normally do, for the spreading of these teachings in all directions, and long and healthy life His Holiness Dalai Lama and all other teachers, teaching true path to enlightenment, particularly also for Rinpoche's swift return, and for the bodhicittas to be developed, and all the emptiness and bodhicitta, and also the right conditions. And the last verse, also very important, never be parted from the precious gurus, as we saw a few verses in the prayer, also very important. And not only never be parted, but also have perfect guru devotion in all future lifetimes, and practice perfectly in order to progress on the bhumis, all the way up to the state of Vajradhara. Yeah, so I dedicate in that way, and think, as we also talked about, that you, the dedicator, and the dedication, and the aim we dedicate towards they're also empty of inherent existence, and that's exactly why things will happen, because nothing exists from its own side, right? So you create the causes, so the results will come about. Yeah, so that's the truth. You can think in the end that by the power of the truth of dependent origination and the three jewels, that may this all come about. Yeah. So take it into account and we decide pray together. Yeah.
O Saji Pergi Jukshin Meto Tramri Rablingji Nidegen Padi Sangye Shindu Jinam Kadrile pe drön me sa sungi dro men se ta du ne gyur jing idam ratna mandala gangriyataya mi dagi jine sape gewadi tendandro akunla gampenda gepa jasun lo sandra pai tenbening poring du selje cho kari rawe korwe jingam sor pendandewa malu jungwene chere zingwan tenzin gatsoi shape site barju tengyur chi tu tenchi sanjangun gelwe ten chogor bela karchera zuba sunden yurmi zimba chungi dadra tempe belun yurjun sho janjo sanjo rinpoche magye panange girchi gepa nepa mepa yang gone gondu bawa sho toni tawa rinpoche magye panange girchi gepa nepa mepa yang gone gondu bawa sho. As long as faith remains, as long as migrators remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the suffering of migrators. May the king of Dharma, Sankhapa's way of Dharma practice flourish, may the omens of obstacles be pacified, and all the conducive circumstances be complete. Through the power of having made single-pointed requests to you, Lord Sandrakpa, may all unfortunate manifestations of the degenerate age, illness, famine, quarrelling, epidemic, disease, graha spirits, interferers, and so forth be pacified. May excellent collections of conducive conditions increase. Please bless me that my wishes be swiftly fulfilled. By invoking the power of loving kindness and compassion of Chenrezig, through the force of making extensive prayers, may all sickness, war, fighting, and famine be completely pacified, so that all beings have long, healthy, and happy lives. May the glorious Guru's lives be long and stable. May all beings equaling the extent of space have happiness, and others without exception accumulate merit and purify negativities, and may be blessed to quickly attain Buddhahood. Gyewa gundu yanda lama dandra meshiki pela lomcheching sadan langi ate razone dolje changi gopan yurto sho.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, see you soon. Yeah.